Bones are simply amazing. They are lightweight, yet incredibly strong. They are rigid, but able to absorb stress. And if that wasn't astonishing enough, bones are living organs that can rebuild and repair themselves if broken. So, animals with internal skeletons made of bones are called vertebrates. And this includes all of the larger animals most of us are familiar with. And because we're surrounded by animals with bones, it's worth taking a closer look at them. Why do we have bones in the first place? Well, bones support our bodies and help us move. They hold us upright while giving our muscles places to push and pull against, and at the same time, they create a kind of basket that protects our internal organs from damage. Bones evolved about 500 million years ago when all living organisms lived in the ocean. These salty waters were saturated in calcium, so the first protective structures were shells made out of calcium carbonate. Calcium carbonate is a fantastic building material and is still the primary material used by clams, crustaceans, corals, and many non-vertebrate marine animals. So while calcium is abundant in marine environments, phosphorus is a rare and limiting resource. So some animals started producing bones built from calcium phosphate. And calcium phosphate offered at least two distinct advantages over calcium carbonate. One advantage is that animals obtain phosphorus from the food they eat. So animals could store phosphorus in their bones during times of abundance, then draw from this storehouse in times of need, while animals that relied on calcium carbonate were always limited by how much phosphorus they could find in their food. Another advantage is that when animals exert themselves, they produce lactic acid as a metabolic byproduct. Unfortunately, calcium carbonate in shells starts to dissolve when exposed to acids, while calcium phosphate in bones is more resistant to acids. What this means is that animals with bones could start chasing after prey or running away from predators without suffering from lactic acid buildup. It turns out that bones give animals another critical advantage when they started leaving water and moving onto land for the first time. Unlike oceans, land environments tend to be phosphorus rich and calcium poor, but being built out of calcium phosphate meant that bones could store calcium in times of abundance and then draw on these resources in times of need. So one way to think about this is that bones act as a kind of battery by storing minerals in times of abundance and then releasing them later. But being built out of minerals raises a fascinating question. Because of their mineral nature, bones are an incredibly durable material that can linger for hundreds or thousands of years. So if millions of animals die every year, why don't we find bones lying around everywhere? I hike hundreds of miles every year, but I'm lucky if I find a couple of bones each year. Maybe you have this experience too. Because bones are built out of minerals, they don't rot in a traditional sense. Instead, a lot of what happens is that a wide variety of animals, ranging from deer to mice and carnivores to birds, either eat or chew on bones in search of these precious minerals. Many bones are also broken down into pieces or buried under leaves and dirt and forgotten, where they very slowly break down and release their minerals over long periods of time. And one way that scientists have measured this long, slow breakdown process is to examine the soils around archaeological grave sites. The soils of grave sites that are 4,500 years old still have elevated levels of calcium and phosphorus, showing how long these minerals are released and persist in the soil. Over an animal's lifetime, they put a lot of time and energy into gathering and storing calcium and phosphate in their bones. It turns out that this is a precious resource and it doesn't go unwasted, which helps explain why we rarely find bones in nature.